My name is Ravi. I'm a senior TPM at GitHub. I manage GitHub Advanced Security projects, primarily on CodeQL. And I welcome you all once again here at GitHub office. I believe you all know that where the trash bins are, where the restrooms are, on my right side, on your right side, on your left side, if you're sitting there. And if you have any questions on GitHub about this office space, do let me know. There are other hubbers outside. Just reach out to them or ask community member. They'll navigate you. Yeah, if you have any concerns, if you see anything which you want to notify us, yeah, please reach out to us. If you are a student and if you wanted to explore GitHub, not just GitHub, GitHub Copilot, you can go to education.github.com/pack, and you will be able to get free Copilot, free GitHub Actions, and Azure credits. Even if your student ID, if that ID is active, you will still be able to avail those. So go to this site, education.github.com. And usually during these AI camp sessions, we talk about Copilot and new things on Copilot. Every day we do see changes and then new models coming in. So these are some of the articles which I have picked with the help of our DevRel team. The first one is much more compelling, and that's the space where I believe all of us, our entire developer communities, in fact, thinking, considering that is AI really good for developers? And if it is good, why? Are developers looking for someone to write code? Is that their goal? Or they are looking for something more, something like seamless integration? So this article actually has video as well as tons of sections to kind of go in and read. Certainly, I found it thought-provoking. So I would recommend you all to go. And if you go to blog.github.com or github.com blog post, you will be able to find out. But if you click photographs, photograph of this slide, you will be able to search as well. The second article is about GitHub Copilot CLI. And I'm sure you must have tried Copilot CLI. Have you tried that on your terminal, GitHub Copilot? And if you feel that why one would need Copilot CLI, and if you are a developer, you will not ask this question. You would rather say, yes, I need Copilot on CLI because I don't want to go anywhere else. I just wanted to be there on either my IDE or, so let me show us how this would work. So let me stop presenting and put the entire screen. So if you are on VS Code, and it seems like it's pretty tiny, see if we can zoom it a bit. So this is my terminal, and when I work with my security researchers, they hate me having these different sections. They say that why don't you just work on terminal? And this is the place where Copilot comes handy, and it'll do work for us. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't even have to look at these files, your application files. You just straight away go to terminal, type Copilot once you have installed it via NPM or Homebrew, and then you can start interacting with it. You can enable voice. You can enable voice by other sort of softwares like either Handy.computer or Whisper, and you just talk to Copilot as if you're talking to someone and asking recommendations like which model to select and whatnot. And let's say, Ravi, I don't want to use VS Code. Fair enough. Then go to terminal, and here also you just type Copilot. Like this. My Copilot will start. and it has all possible controls. You don't even have to do any sort of UI interaction. You can just keep typing, keep interacting, and it has list of commands. There's a cheat sheet available on github.com. You can go and find it, and voila, you're good to go, and then start working on CLI, and start improving your application the way you want. So these are a few things which I wanted to share. Going back to my slide, if you'd like to read more about it beyond blog posts, go to GitHub monthly enterprise roundup, and you will be able to find out new features, not on just Copilot, but also on overall GitHub. So these are two QR codes you can refer, and then you can read about all GitHub enterprise specific products. With that, I will pass it to Josh and our awesome speakers.
Thank you. Thanks, Ravi. Okay, so before I bring up our first speaker, just so a reminder, we still love this space, and if you have if you have like any issues or if you're like concerns, please come and talk to me or talk to Ravi or Bill, because we want to make sure that the space as well as community is well taken care of. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to bring in Shoya and Jinba, and he's going to talking about how to deploy the MCP servers in minutes. Cutting edge topic.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shoya. I'm a founder and CEO of Jinba. I flew here from San Francisco this morning to sponsor everyone's pizza. Yeah, it's actually my first time coming to Seattle. It's a beautiful place. I like the building. Thanks for having me to this event. So just vibe checking, how many of you guys have developed and deployed MCP servers? That's actually a lot. How many of you have actually deployed MCP servers to your company's environment? That's probably a few. Okay. Thank you so much. So today I'm going to talk about how to build and deploy MCP servers within a couple of minutes. So who are we? So we're Jinba. We're helping enterprise internal tool team to build workflow automation via natural language instructions. So we launched our product 2025 April, and we now serve a couple of enterprise customers, and actually 40,000 employees are using our platform now. And we also recently, it's very tiny. We recently got into YC. We're in the current batch. Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, why we started this product. So I remember MCP came out December 2024, and there was an initial hype. MCP is just API wrapper, it's not very special. But nowadays, everyone's using MCP, and around 2025 January, we are talking to enterprise customers, and they kind of realize that they're doing a lot of how do I say POC projects. They're paying a lot of money to IT consulting company to try out new technologies, including MCPs. But we kind of realize that we kind of figure out that they're paying for example $200K, $300K just for building document processing workflow. And then the funny thing is they couldn't deploy to the production environment because their security is super hard. It's very hard. It's also very hard to, is my voice coming through? Okay. So security is, very hard to, achieve. And also like it's very hard to, scale up the server. So a lot of like POC ended up like failing deploying to actual production environment, and they just put like 200K, 300K like without like actually getting benefits. So we kind of thought like, hey, like why don't we like build like a tool that people can actually deploy MCP and like AI workflows like instantly. And that at that time, like people are like kind of figuring out, um, there was like a term vibe coding like early 2025, I guess they came out, and like we're kind of like figuring out, oh, maybe like we can use like vibe coding technique to like build like MCP server. So that's the reason why like we kind of started, and we experiment a different type of product, and we kind of find out like no code and like low code tool are like kind of interesting topic, because like a lot of people in enterprise companies, they have like a knowledge about their business processes, but they don't know how to build it, right? So people are like using at the time like NAN Zapier, and then like we kind of like interview a lot of people, and like they were saying, oh, NAN is actually hard. And I was kind of surprised, but NAN kind of, seemingly like looked very easy, right? So we interviewed them like a lot, and I kind of figure out actually like no code like drag and drop tools are like very, very hard to learn. You need to like dive into every specific like variables, and you need to like it's kind of funny because like I found out people are like trying to like write Python code inside NAN. They're using no code local tool. So yeah, so we learn a lot, and like we try like build something like we can like frame it like NAN meets lovable. So essentially like you can like vibe code workflow with like like also like drag and drop feature. So I'm gonna share the demo with you guys very quick. So this is our landing page, and this is our product page. It's kind of small. Is it good? Okay. So this is our landing page, and so I type in the prompt, which will be appear in a second. But this is our like workflow editor. So what we can do here is on the left side we have. Okay, sorry. Maybe we make it bigger. Okay, yeah. So on the left side we have like an editor. Sorry, chat window. And what we can do here is like just like a regular chat GPT. You can like type something. Hey, like I want to create the workflow that takes Google spreadsheet, and I want to ask question over Google spreadsheet. So type it in and wait for a while, and our Copilot agent going to create the YAML manifest. So on the right side, what we have is like a it's a coding editing window, and it's pretty much like similar to like regular vibe coding tool. You can accept or like reject changes, and when you accept changes, you can see the graph editor. So the interesting part is it's not like a pure like CLI like like vibe coding tool. Like we have like an interface that you can actually interact with. This is kind of like pretty useful for like I call it like semi-technical people who kind of understand the concept of coding. Like for example, there are like a lot of people who can like use Excel function, like like input and output, right? But they don't know like actually really how to code. So we're kind of targeting those kind of people, and they love like this hybrid interface. So here what we have is question input, get spreadsheet data, and answer question and output the answer. So all nodes are actually you can click and you can see the details. So for example, if you want to change the spreadsheet ID, you can actually, ask our Copilot agent to change the spreadsheet ID. But at the same time, you can, also dive into this, graphical user interface, and you can change, spreadsheet ID or like range or whatnot, as if you're using regular NAN style drag and drop tool. So Yeah, we also have like a bunch of integrations like spreadsheet, calendar, forms, and you can also run the code, run the workflow, and you can see the actual input and outputs. It's kind of similar to NA. We borrowed some design from NA, obviously, but yeah, so this is a builder. So the use case is like we're working with like banking and insurance industries, and they're like assigning like internal tool team to like build this workflow. So for example, we're working with Mitsubishi Bank. They have like they secure like 100 people inside the company, and then like they try like build useful workflows for their colleagues. They're not like dedicated engineers, but they're like kind of semi-technical people. So once you create workflow and you see that you validate the output and inputs are like solid, we can publish the workflow. So we have publish button. I mean, we have bunch of instructions, but so you can use this as like API endpoint, but you can also use this as MCP tool. So you can publish as MCP tool, enabling API access, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So now our MCP tool has been published. And what's next? So the next thing is, this interface is mainly for, semi-developers or semi-coders. But regular employees want to use this tools, right? So we have another interface called Jinba app, which is like essentially like kind of similar to, how do I say, like ChatGPT for your company. So we have this chat interface, and you can invoke tools that we created, before. So here, like answer queries from sheets. Oh, by the way, it's very tiny. It's very hard to see, but we have this table of product, showing the product name, price, ceramic brake pads like cost $51, blah, 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 blah. So we are like integrated with the spreadsheet. So what we can do here is we can ask, hey, how much is brake? And then hit enter, and you can wait for a while. Thinking, oops. Okay, this is not good. But I think we can get back to here later. But interesting thing that we also have is, so this is like integrated with our Jinba Flow platform. So whenever you publish something, you can directly ship your MCP tools to your employee. And we're pretty much like focusing on enterprise customers. So we have like RBAC, role-based management system. So we can, in enterprise companies, they want like, hey, like I want this MCP only specific, like available to this type of like, sales team or like your marketing team, right? So we have this kind of like role management system, and also like, permission system and audit login feature. Yeah, and also other thing is like we have this like form feature. So essentially like MCP, oh my God, okay. This is it's not working, but the thing is, so MCP has like a input schema, right? Like, so essentially you can like infer the schema and like generate the like front end interface like automatically. So in this flows case, like input is text. So I have this, text input. But if you have like a, input file, you can like also have like a form for a file as well, right? So we kind of have like this, form feature as well, because some employee wants to like have this type of interface as well. Yep. So also other features, we also have this like agent builder feature. So when you build like tools and ship tools to employees, they want to like streamline their workflows and they're gonna utilize the like MCP tools via chat, but they sometimes want to like customize their, how do I say, customize their like automation. For example, some people want to combine like spreadsheet MCP and then like Slack MCP. So we kind of have like editor interface for non-technical people to actually like build agent by themselves. So we can like actually like mention here, I want to use this answer queries from sheet MCP, and you can like instruct as like a system prompt. So you can also publish this chat, this agent feature as chat, so you can instantly share with other colleagues. So I think like YC's like a motto, like build something people want. It's kind of famous, but we're saying like build something your colleagues want. So this is like essentially a product that like helps your colleagues. Yeah. So this is demo, and to wrap it up, so Jinba is like an automation tool for enterprise internal tool team. You can essentially help your colleagues by shipping your tools, and colleagues gonna use the like MCP tools via chat interface. We have like role-based management system for enterprise. We also have like an on-prem solution, which is very hard, but we're working on it. And yeah, I guess that's it. But we are launching. We're doing product launch. We usually scheduled today, but we ended up pushing to February for some reasons. But hopefully, please sign up to like Product Hunt, and please give us upvotes. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Shoya. I keep forgetting that the others. Sorry. Thanks, Shoya, for the being brave to do a live demos, because always the gremlins always there during the live demos. Yep. So for now, let's take a couple of questions. I see the volunteer already.
All right. Thank you so much for the talk. How do you see Jinba competing with like all-in-one legal software like Harvey and PO management? What's the advantages to using that? Thank
you so much. So we're targeting, how do I say, like long tail, like the workflow that need like customization. So like if you think about like Harvey, they're like super focused on like legal processes, right? But even like with using Harvey, sometimes they're not compatible with probably like, how do I say it? Like integrations. Like they're not like connected to QuickBooks, or they're not connected to like other softwares. And we're targeting like those kind of use cases. So we're not like actually directly competing with them. We're like kind of like complementary, like helping each other.
All right. Any other questions? There we go. And I think I saw another hand over there.
What features would you like us to test most while you're preparing to launch?
Thank you so much. So we're trying hard to improve our Copilot right now. We're trying to integrate with MCP tools like within our Copilot. So essentially what we can do is like, while you're editing something using our Copilot, sometimes our Copilot wants to check the documentation on the internet, and we use LangChain before. We used LangGraph before, but we're kind of trying to shift towards fully TypeScript implementation. This is very like internal stuff. So we're trying to like migrate to TypeScript like Copilot backend, and we're shipping this like within a couple of days. That's the reason why we kind of delayed our launch. But yeah, please like test like our new Copilot feature, and if it doesn't work, there is a So one of our cutting edge solution is customer support. So if you go here and if you click here, you see the intercom interface and you can chat with our engineers. So if you find any issues, you can directly chat with them. And if you find some like modules are missing, like, hey, like I want to integrate with, I don't know, this software, like we'll try to build it and ship it within a couple of days. Yeah.
Cool. There was one question, so here and then the IC next.
I just had a follow-up question. So as an individual contributor, what do you think is the underrated feature that would help us the most for developing using Jinba?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
As an individual contributor,
Mhm.
so what is an underrated feature that Jinba will really help us in development?
Underrated feature, like in
Or
development,
any differentiating feature?
differentiating feature that helps developers, individual
Or
like
yes,
developers.
because I think so mostly it's used by them.
Differentiator, I think the differentiator is like I'll say it's so at the end of the day, like these type of like build tools are, you know, it's how do I say it? It's kind of all the same because like think about like, you know, NAN, you can like use Python module inside NAN. So essentially like you can build anything inside NAN. But I guess the like huge like differentiation between those other competitors or like vibe coding part, they also have like a natural language to workflow features, and they're actually doing good. But I'll say like we started like building this product 2025 January, and like they started building like, you know, 2019, I guess. So like we're pretty much like, you know, how do I say it, like focusing on like vibe coding experience rather than like just focusing on like drag and drop features. So I think like this part is it looks like very like subtle because like all people like most of people say, hey, like this is probably like similar to like NAN because they also have like, you know, chat to workflow feature. But this is, I feel like this part will make a like difference in terms of like speed of development.
Okay, great. Let's take a couple more questions. I think I saw him first. Hang on a sec.
So can your Jinba be used as, I'll call it sort of like an MCP router, if you will? So for example, I have a service where I would like someone to find my service, maybe advertise it, if you will, through Jinba. And then you can kick off a request for the services that I offer and then await the response back to it and then return it back to them. Is that what your intention is with the product?
Like a router in the sense that like you have like an external MCP or like
Yeah, so you have an application that makes a request and then it goes out to my MCP server and based on the methods and the interfaces I support, then it can go out and complete the task with my agent.
Yeah. So I guess like a Jinba app is like you know, kind of router for MCPs. Like we also have like so it's actually not like only limited to Jinba Flow MCPs. We also have like a marketplace, so we can like integrate with other, you know, third parties as well. So we're integrating with Clavis, which is like another like third party MCP provider. We're planning to support like Composio as well. So essentially, like if you have your MCP server, you can like integrate with Jinba app as well.
Cool. I think.
Yeah.
Just like a little side story today, I was trying to like optimize my 16 gigabytes of RAM on my M3 to run an open source model, not unsuccessfully, but I was looking at the activity monitor and noticed that it had duplicate versions of MCP running. I was wondering if you address that space. And the add-on question to that is MCP can be a real like context bloat. Like they're always running in the background and chewing up all my like tokens. So it's kind of a two-part question, but
Two-part questions. Like,
well, the first question is there anything built into your platform to prevent like running more than the same MCP more than once on your
Like concurrent running or like a tool selection or like a.
I was using resource. I was basically running I was running 4 MCPs twice, so it was doubling my resource constraint.
Yeah.
And at scale in enterprise, it could be problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of trying to figure out the scaling issues for like MCPs. The interesting thing that we found is like MCP, like maybe like 5 or like 4 months ago, they're not like really supporting long running. But some like companies, like they want to process like 10,000 files at the same time. They want to spin up like MCPs like multiple times. And yeah, so I think the answer is like we're trying to like catch up with those like technologies, but it's there. The bottleneck is actually how do I say, like the MCP like spec itself, because like Anthropic has been building like it for a while, but they didn't like support like authentication before. They didn't like support like artifacts before. They didn't support like long running before. But like we're kind of trying to like align with like those like development process. So yeah, it's actually very hard. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Shoya's gonna be here. We have a space until 8 o'clock, so Shoya's gonna be here. And then if you guys have a more in-depth question or just a little shy about the asking questions in front of others, he's gonna be around, and then we can network afterward. Okay. But in the for now, I think let's give a round of applause.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and at this time, I'm going to bring up Kaylin, and she's going to tell us more about the like event-driven content pipeline. Yeah, so it's going to be how to like automate your life and make the content creation easier.
You can hold on to that for now and we'll see how that goes. Let me know if there are any issues with the audio quality. Wow, there's a lot of people here. Thank you for being here. I'm really excited about this. Let me go ahead and get myself on the thing. Alrighty, I've just joined. All right, this might be an adventure as I flip around between different screens. But there we are. I went with a dark mode slide deck today, which I do not usually do, just to try it out and see how it goes. And I might flashbang you a couple times when I change screens. Sorry about that. I'll try to warn you. So my talk today, I want to tell you a little bit about an MCP server that I built to solve an actual problem that I have. So I've titled it From Manual Slog to AI Stream, Building Efficient Content Pipelines with MCP and Automation. How an AI-powered MCP server saves 2 hours of work per podcast episode. Who wants to bet if an AI wrote that? Every hand goes up. Yeah. Yes, I had to make the title. So hello, everyone. I'm Kaslin Fields. I'm a manager of developer relations engineering at Google Cloud, where I focus primarily on Kubernetes and Google Kubernetes Engine, which I am representing in my earrings on my shirt today. And I lead a team of 4 folks who all focus on various aspects of Google Kubernetes Engine and kind of general infrastructure in Google Cloud. Of course, we all work in AI in some form. Like I said, I focus primarily on GKE and also open source Kubernetes. I'm an ambassador for the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So if you're interested in open source ecosystem stuff, please do ask me. I'm a co-chair in the special interest group for contributor experience in open source Kubernetes. So I am a maintainer in open source Kubernetes, if you want to talk about that. And I'm a co-host of the Kubernetes podcast from Google, which is where our story begins today. So here's a rough agenda of what I'm going to go over here. First, I'm going to talk about how I saved 2 hours per podcast episode with an MCP server and why I decided that was a good idea. Hopefully I'll give you a demo. We'll find out if it works. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about another tool that a friend of mine built as like kind of a weekend project. It's called Last Week in Cloud Native, and it's a newsletter. So it's another way that you could use AI to build a content pipeline. And there's a lot of similarities with what I did with my podcast assistant MCP server. So I want to kind of compare and contrast and point out some patterns. And then I want to talk a little bit about evaluation. I was hoping that I would have time to work evaluation into my MCP server so that I could show it off as part of the demo, but I didn't. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the general concepts of evaluation, why you should do it, why it's important for AI workloads, how you should think about doing it, as kind of a forward-looking, this is what I'm going to do with the MCP server next when I get a chance. But first, let's talk about podcasting. The problem that we're going to be solving today is running podcasts is hard. We won't actually solve it, but we'll solve a little bit of it, maybe. So let's talk a little bit about the podcast publishing process. You might think publishing is easy, right? The hard part is like getting a guest, editing, all of that kind of stuff. Once you have the file to be published, you just hit a button and then it's published, right? No. Sad face. It is not that easy. I just spend so much time with our publishing process. People are very impressed. This is tiny text. I'm sorry about that, but I'll read it aloud and it's not that important. So step number 1, upload to our publishing platform and fill out all of the fields that we need to fill out, like the tags that are going to be on it, the description of the episode, all of that kind of stuff. But before I do all of that, actually, I also have to listen to the episode for quality and write up the show notes that I'm going to put into the description field. So before I can go about publishing, I usually get to the point where I'm like, I'm ready to publish. And then I'm like, wait, I have to write the description first. So it ends up being part of the publishing process. And then we can publish, right? No. Then I need to update the website because we have a Hugo website that we run ourselves on Google Cloud. Wow. So I need to update the repo that contains all of the code for the website and actually update the server. Well, it's a bucket. Now it's a server. That's a whole nother story. So we're basically done now. We've got the episode ready for publishing. We've updated the website. We've written all of the description of it. We're not. Next, we have to promote it on social media because you've created a podcast episode, you've published it, but who knows that you published it? No one. If a tree falls in a forest, no one cares. So you need to promote it on social media. We have accounts on X, Blue Sky, LinkedIn, and Reddit, which all have different content formats. So for X, I need something that fits within the character limits of X. The Blue Sky character limit is a little bit longer, so if I wanted to, I could put something slightly different. LinkedIn, you can go as long as you want, so you can put the whole description of the episode in there, so that one can be a bit different. And Reddit is a very different audience, so we do that one differently too. So there's a lot of different pieces to the publishing process, and it takes forever. It takes at least an hour, usually like 3 hours to do all of these pieces all together. And being at Google, where we do a lot of AI stuff, I'm thinking, how can AI help me make this process easier? So first off, I noticed that, listening to the episode for quality and writing the show notes, at least the writing the show notes part, that's just a summarization task, and AI is really good at summarizing. So we can use AI to save some time here. And then if we look at the last one, promoting it on social media, that's also just summarizing the episode and putting that into different formats. AI can do that really, really easily. So those seem like a couple of really good candidates for using AI to reduce some of the time that we're spending on this publishing process. So I think, great, I'm an infrastructure person. I write scripts. I'm learning Python because everybody's learning Python. So I'll make a Python script that uses AI to generate a transcript based on the audio of the episode, because at this point I have an audio file, but I don't have anything else. So I'll give it the audio file. This is a multimodal use case. I want to generate a transcript based on that audio file. And it's audio only, no video in our podcast. And then I want to generate show notes, which involves actually mainly for our show notes, we try to pick out technologies that were talked about in the episode that a listener might want to learn more about, and then give them links to that. So it's a little bit more difficult than your average summarization task. It's find the interesting technologies that were talked about in the episode and give me links, and maybe don't hallucinate the links. Social media posts. And I'd love to have a blog for every episode. I don't have time to write it, but maybe if I got a little bit of help from the AI, if it drafted it out, or maybe even just gave me an outline so that I could write out the rest of it later, maybe we would be able to do a blog. So I made a script and it did all of those things, and I thought it was wonderful. And I started using it when I was publishing episodes, and it was saving me a good hour or two per episode. And I'm like, this is great. Everyone use this. It's now part of our publishing workflow, because I have a co-host, Abdel, as well as Mofi. He's been helping us out a lot lately too. Who's heard of the mono repo at Google? Quite a few people. So when you have a mono repo, everything is in the mono repo, and touching the mono repo is annoying. So in order to share this Python script that I made, I didn't want to mess around with the mono repo. And other options for sharing code are not all that great. So I put it in a Google Doc, and I was like, hey guys, here's a Python script in a Google Doc, go run that. And for some reason they didn't do that. I can't imagine why. So I needed a solution that made this solution easier for everyone to use and not just me, because I don't want to publish every single episode. So I'm at the same time helping out with a roadshow workshop series where we're using MCP servers to do cool things and teaching people about MCP servers. And I told one of the folks that I was working with on this roadshow about this problem, and they were like, why don't you just make it an MCP server? Originally, I was like, I want to make it a website where it's a whole workflow, like a wizard style workflow, and you're inputting on this stage, and then it takes you to the next step. And he's a front end guy, and he was like, don't do that. That's way too much work. Just make an MCP server. It can do all of the things that you need. And the other folks who are working on this podcast are also Kubernetes people who are also not front end people. So CLI works. An MCP server can work with some of our CLI tools, which I'll get into. So here's a few different reasons why I chose an MCP server to solve my problem of getting my podcast co-hosts to use this tool. Like I said, number one, I don't know how to make a front end. Gemini can probably make a front end, and it'd probably be pretty decent, but the amount of hand-holding that I have to do to make sure that it does everything that I want, and thinking through each step. And at some point I want to add more abilities to this, which would add more steps to the workflow. And if it's a front end, then I'm going to have to change a lot more things than if I just add another tool to an MCP server, which is the second point. It's extensible. As we go through time, and I maybe actually have some time to work on this, I would love to add other tools. Like one of the other steps in our publishing process was updating the Hugo. That seems like something that I could do at least deterministically, or through AI. I think I'd probably use AI to vibe code a deterministic solution for at least part of that. But I'd love to write that code or get that code written and add that to the MCP server, but I don't have time to do it right now. I can do that later, because MCP servers, you just add another tool to it and then it's available to everybody. And seamless integration. So I work within the organization that built Gemini CLI. And as someone who primarily uses command line interface, Gemini CLI is really convenient for me. It's a way to interact with Gemini in your terminal. So I don't have to go onto a web page or integrate it into anything else. Everybody's already using Gemini CLI, so I just tell them to add this MCP server to the tool that they're already using, and bam, everybody's got it. Problem solved. I mentioned already the code lab that we were doing as part of the workshop that I based this on. So here's a link to that in case you want it. I'll try to make sure to share these later. I don't have them shared on the event website yet, but I'll work with Bill to make sure that we update the website. But if you want to try out the code lab yourself, this is the code lab that my solution is based on. Give folks a minute to take pictures of that. If you need me to come back to it later, let me know. And, oh yes, I'll explain a little bit about it before I go into the demo. So there are 4 tools in my MCP server right now. Number 1 is generate transcript. This is really important. I need a transcript in order to do everything else because it's easier, faster to work with text rather than multimodal AI prompts. So I want to go ahead, first thing, take my audio file, which is usually like an hour long, and generate a transcript from that. We'll talk about a problem that I encountered with that a little bit later. So tool number 1 converts the audio file into a transcript. Tool number 2 generates the show notes. As I mentioned, the biggest thing for the show notes actually for us is the links to technologies that were mentioned during the episode in case someone wants to learn more about them. But I do have it summarize key points as well now because I like that format. Generate a blog post. Like I said, aspirational. I would love to publish blog posts. I'm not doing it currently, but I have a blog post for all of the ones that I've published this way. So maybe someday I'll go back and publish the backlog. And then generate social media posts. This is super convenient because it generates them in the different formats for each one. Sometimes I like one, but I don't like the other one. So I often actually end up taking the one that I like and kind of rewording the others based on that one. Human evaluation is a very important part of this process. Ultimately, I am responsible for the quality of everything that comes out for the Kubernetes podcast. So I want to make sure that I review the output of all of these myself. And at this scale, that's fine. But we'll talk a little bit more about evaluation at scale later. So some design choices. Number 1, I wanted to mention, this is in the blog post, which is linked on the event page, choosing the right model. So I first tried to do this using Gemini 2.5 Pro, which was the latest at the time. Gemini 3 hadn't come out yet when I was first building this. And it timed out on the MCP server when I tried to make the call. And so I tried to look into which piece was timing out. Is it the call to Vertex AI, or is it something that's set? I'm using fast MCP. You'll see that in a little bit. Is it a fast MCP setting that I need to set? Is it something in Gemini CLI because I'm using the MCP server through Gemini CLI? So which piece is timing out? Gave up on trying to figure it out. Did it on Flash, and it worked. So I just went ahead with Flash for now and figured I could figure out that time limit issue later. Another one. Fast MCP also offers the ability to do prompts. Most of the things that I'm doing with these are just, I'm sending a prompt to Gemini. Like I'm using Gemini to send a prompt to Gemini to get the output back, which seems a little silly. So another way that you could do it is to use prompts. Just be like, this is the prompt that I'm trying to send it to the AI and give me the result. The issue is that prompts in fast MCP, it just directly outputs the output. And I want to take that output and put it into a Google Cloud Storage bucket. So I decided to instead use tools rather than prompts, which there's some other labs. It's actually not in the lab that I just shared the link to. But if you're interested in that, I can share a link to a lab where they do actually use prompts for fast MCP. But I chose not to so that I can save it to a bucket. And another one is security. Important feature of that lab that I just shared with you all is it's about running more secure MCP servers. And it does that by having you create an access token that you use to interact with the MCP server. So I'm doing it the same way as they do in that code lab, but there's also several other ways that you could do it, which in some ways are more convenient, some ways less. So when I created this project on the GitHub repo, I list several different ways that you could do the authentication with the MCP server. All right, so now I'm going to share a different part of my screen. I might just share the whole screen. Yeah, it's going to be more convenient. And yeah, so this is where my podcast assistant MCP server code lives. It's in Google Cloud Platform DevRel demos. It's in the containers section. Oh, thank you. Share screen, whole screen, that one. I am screen sharing, yes, because it's sharing my screen now. There we go. Thank you. Yes, good call. Please do call out at me. I'm a very casual kind of person. All right, so this is in Google Cloud Platform on GitHub, DevRel demos, because I'm in developer relations engineering, containers, because I normally do container things, not that this has a whole lot to do with containers. Technically, it is running in a container, so sure. And it's the Podcast Assistant MCP. So this describes what it does, the features that it has. It's got these 4 tools. Tells you a little bit about MCP servers and has all of the steps for you to run this MCP server yourself. And like I mentioned here at the bottom of the README, there's option 1, using an authentication token with Gemini CLI. This is usually the way that I do it. There's also option 2, using a proxy, and option 3, using a service account. You'll have to look into those to decide what kinds of authentication methods you like, but I just like using option 1 because it's kind of convenient, but I think it might have bitten me today. Let's find out in the demo. So if I bring up my terminal, I can also show it to you in Google Cloud. I'll try and do that in a minute. So I'll clear this. To run Gemini CLI, you just do Gemini. I have this installed via Homebrew because I'm on a Mac, so I did brew install Gemini CLI. And then you run it with Gemini. And then as you can see here, it says already here that I have 1 MCP server. And it also says that it's not connected because it has an authentication issue. This is a new error since I made this tool. I saw that today and I was like, wow, Gemini knows about my authentication error. I should figure out how to make use of that because, spoiler, it doesn't work to just do that. But if you do /MCP, it'll show you all of the podcasts or all of the MCP servers. Podcast Assistant is the only one that I have theoretically connected, but it's not actually connected because of authentication. Yay! And if I try to run the thing that it told me to run, I'll show you what happens just for funsies. It like tries and then it's like, I don't have an authentication like configuration to use with this because it's not configured for you to use an OAuth configuration file or anything. I don't know exactly what it's looking for, but it's not configured like that. I'll tell you that much. So the way that this is configured, if we look back at the GitHub README, I typically generate an ID token using gcloud auth. And maybe the token expires? Yes, token expires. So I've had it, I set this up like 2 hours ago, so it is indeed expired. So I'm going to try creating a new one and we'll see if that works. And I also want to show you though, before I do that here. So I set up Gemini CLI to access the MCP server by changing the .gemini settings.json. And what I put in there is, this is nothing, you don't actually need that even. But in the MCP servers section of the JSON, I have the podcast assistant defined, I have the URL where you can find it, with /MCP at the end. We had a big issue with that in one of the workshops where we had a space at the end of the MCP originally. And then one of the packages changed and that stopped working in the middle of the workshop. So don't put a space. And then I have it just calling the variable for the ID token to do that authorization. So theoretically, if I just set up that token again, it should work, but it was not working for me earlier. So let's find out what happens. So I'm going to export the ID token. Gcloud auth print identity token is the tool to get that token. Created enterprise certificate proxy configuration file. What? Maybe that's why this is happening. If I do, oh, you're welcome. So that works fine. So this should theoretically have worked fine. Okay, there we go. And then I don't need to set up anything else. It should just automatically pick it up because if I do cat dot Gemini /settings .json, it won't autocomplete for me. Okay, that's fine. Because I need ~/. Well, there you go. You can see that the whole thing is in there. I'm very secure today. So that should all be in there. So if I run Gemini, it should pull from that settings file. It should use that. But it still says requires authentication /MCP. It's still not happy. So I'm not exactly sure why this is happening, honestly. But I did fix it earlier by redeploying the MCP server. So I could show you how to do that if you want. I can also give you a little tour. This is some buckets that I have set up in my Google Cloud project. I didn't warn you. Sorry about the flash. But if I go to Google Cloud Run, you can see that I have two MCP servers set up. Actually, I could try to set it up to use the Zoo MCP server and see if that works too. But you can see earlier where I was hitting it. And we could actually look at the logs to see what's happening here. You can see me attempting to connect here probably. Here's where it was working earlier today. And here you can see some information about OAuth. So I think these are me hitting it and failing here. Yeah. So I've got to debug that. The way that I got it fixed earlier today was that I just redeployed it using the instructions here. And when I deployed it fresh, it was working. So I might switch to one of the other authentication methods in the future. But we're already about at 6. So I'm going to go ahead back to my slides for now and talk through the rest of that stuff. If you want to see more of the demo later, let me know. So a few more things, talking a little bit about AI content workflows. And I was supposed to end at 6, wasn't I? 7 or 7?
You get like 5 more minutes.
Okay, I'll try to go quick with this. So Mario's problem, keeping up with cloud native is hard. So he created a newsletter. This is what the newsletter site looks like. It's lwcn.dev, super easy to find. And I have the information in the meetup invite. You can see here it has a little brief summary of what's going on this week in Cloud Native at the top. And then it's got all sorts of information about releases. And then it has bigger summaries at the bottom of the newsletter. I could also actually go to the site and show you, but I made slides. So contrasting these data gathering philosophies, Mario used an approach where he is doing RSS feeds and gathering all that information from a set of static RSS feeds that he always gathers from. Whereas with the podcast, I have it help me gather news information, and I have it just use Google search. I have a list of websites that I like to look at, and I give it that list so that it'll check those out. But I don't limit it to those. I'm like, here's the topic that I want you to find information about, especially with creating the show notes. I need you to find links about these things. So I give it kind of a lot more free reign in my design. Mario's is nice because he knows where the content is coming from because it's coming from a certain set of RSS feeds. So that lowers the chance that he'll have issues. And it's a scheduled pipeline that he's running every week, whereas mine is on demand. So they're very different approaches in terms of both how you gather the data and how you use them. And talking a little bit about evaluation, I talked earlier about how I'm responsible for the quality of everything that comes out around the Kubernetes podcast. So I want to make sure that I'm reviewing it, reinvesting the time that I'm getting from the AI to review the things that it creates and making sure that they're high quality. So a few points on why human review is important. It's great to have a first draft from the AI, but you want to make sure that you review it. AI can't be accountable for the quality that it produces. Nuance and vibe checking. The AI can score engagement. It can also kind of judge like what is the vibe of the content that it's reviewing. But if you want something to match a vibe of a publication, you want to check that as a human probably. And then of course, making sure that you're not getting any hallucinated links and things or anything like that. Making sure that you've got all the links that you need. And in terms of evaluating content from an AI, we chose AI because it's good at summarizing things. It's good at kind of free-form problems. And deterministic code is not good at judging free-form things. It's not good at judging sentiment. It's not good at judging something that can come out in many different shapes and forms. But AI can. And AI, there's some research on this, especially from DeepMind and MIT. I was looking at some on AI actually being better at critique than creation. So it's really good actually to use AI as a reviewer of things. Oh yeah, I have a whole thing about that, but I won't go over that. Beyond exact matching, traditional code-based tests can't tell if it was engaging, whereas you can get a little bit more of that from AI. Scalability, if you weren't doing an episode every 2 weeks, but you were doing 10 podcasts every week or 100, you might want to scale that up and use an AI to judge quality of things. And you can get an explanation for why it thought this was good or bad rather than just a yes or no. Yeah. And so that's my presentation for today. Here's a link to me on LinkedIn if you want to connect. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thanks, Kaylin. Is Kaylin or Callan?
Kaslin.
Callan.
Kaslin. Like Tasmanian devil.
Okay.
Kaslin.
Kaslin. Okay. I'm really bad with people's name. I need a course or something. Anyway, so thanks for the presentation. So for now, how about like we take about 3 questions, and then we'll open up for networking and any intimate questions with the speakers. So anybody wants to take a first question?
Hi, Kaslin. Thank you for your presentation. I'm curious as to why your intake went from audio to transcript and not natively from transcript automatically after you record something. So I'm wondering, do you record it in the studio without a transcript? I feel like that would have maybe shaved maybe 30 more seconds to 30 minutes.
Yeah. So we use Riverside to record, which does have a whole bunch of new AI tools built into it. And while I was building this, they introduced the tool to automatically generate a transcript for everything that you build there. However, our episodes are usually multiple pieces and we edit them together. So there's a news section at the beginning and then the interview, and then there's a closing segment, which ideally we like to actually have a conversation there. So there could be more stuff that I want to judge all together than just the single audio file once I have it all edited together. So there's kind of an additional step there. Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Kaslin is really nice. Unlike me.
That's what I like.
Going up, I see it. Oh, okay.
I'll give you one supportive comment on the point you made about AI critiquing AI. I use that a lot, actually. In fact, I ran into that problem when I was doing some work in chemistry, And when I was asking it to do, it was actually a very simple question I asked. I just want to test it, and it failed miserably. So I went to another chat, and I think I might have used Google, and I used OpenAI, and it did a great job. It actually fixed it. So I highly recommend that approach. I use it for other things as well.
And if you want to talk about multi-agent systems, where you've got one AI that's feeding into a different AI, and I've considered doing that approach with this too, but the MCP server works much better for my use case. But if you are doing that, evaluation at each step is really important, where you're making sure that the output of one is good for the next.
Okay.
There's a couple here in the front, and there's one in the back.
Sorry?
There's a couple in the front, and there's one in the back too.
Okay. Then yeah, let's take a couple more questions.
Just building on the previous question, you had a slide that you said something about critiquing is easier than creation for,
Yeah.
is that for AI to do? I was curious, why is that so? Because I thought AI is good at creation in terms of, that's where the creativity and the free form language comes about. But why is critiquing better or easier than creation for an LLM? I'm not really clear.
Yeah, so I put a few points about that here. In the first one here, there's some research, like I mentioned, from DeepMind and MIT around LLMs being more accurate when they're reviewing content rather than when they're creating it for the first time. Because I like this wording as the AI wrote it. This creation requires high entropy planning while critique focuses on verification. I have a coworker who actually recently created a diagram of the kind of neural pathways that the LLM uses when it's doing a creation task. And the most amazing thing was that you could see when it was hallucinating, because you could see that the neural pathways that it would take got kind of more random. And so it was like, it wasn't sure what it was doing, and it was kind of going all over the place to try and find an answer. And it came back with some kind of random thing that kind of made sense, but wasn't real. So it is a high entropy thing that it's doing when it's trying to create something from nothing. But when it's reviewing something, judging by the diagram that my coworker made, it's following more well-trodden paths. So I'd look into the research of it more, but yeah.
Okay. So we have two questions. So one, and then I remember you. So hang on.
If I was running this for 20 podcasts instead of one, what breaks first?
Ooh. Yeah, obviously authentication. That's a good point. I think you would want to run it as a multi-agent system and not as an MCP server like I'm doing here, which changes the things that could break a little bit. And it also depends on how particular you are about the style of each podcast. If you're using the same tools to do each podcast, I'd be worried that the tone might be the same across all of them. So like the hyper personalization that you probably want out of that system might be one of the things I'd keep an eye on first. And then the model. If you've built any applications with AI and then the models change and the old model that you were using isn't available anymore and you have to go into the code and update that, that's another like technical piece that you'd probably have to update pretty fast. And then you might have to update your prompts because it's a new model.
Kaslin, what you'd said about in your workflow, creating 4 different versions for 4 different social media destinations. And you said something curious about that typically you're satisfied with one of them out of 4. And then you kind of do a bit of your own judgment and writing to make that fit. I guess wanted to invite you to talk about kind of why that's difficult. I think most of us have probably ran into analogous problems with kind of writing and summarizing, but why is it that we can't define, in this case, 4 agents to do something more or less perfectly every time using a rubric or some other structure?
Yeah. And my theory, at least for that, is that it's primarily a prompt engineering problem. So I brought this up to show you my prompt that I actually used for that. It's in the GitHub repo, so you can check it out. So this is about transcribing. This one is for the show notes. This one's for the blog post. This one is for the social media posts. So you can see it's very simple. It's just, where's the prompt? Oh, here's the actual prompt. Based on the following transcript, generate a draft social media post for X and another one for LinkedIn. I thought I had it do Blue Sky as a separate one as well, but I guess I only have it do the two. And then make the post engaging and encourage people to listen to the episode. Use relevant hashtags. And then it has an example of how to format the post, which doesn't have a whole lot of information to it. So it's a very bare bones prompt. And I think the most effective prompts are much more detailed than this. So I should really do some engineering with this prompt to see if I can get better results. You could also, if we're talking about like a multi-agent system, or if you just want to make that many tools, you could make a separate tool for each one and have a separate prompt for each different type of social media output that you want to create. But I still think it's a prompt engineering problem. I'll repeat.
Some of them were very brief, like this. Some of them were page long, and they don't do a prompt all the time. Why too extreme?
Yeah, to repeat. In some example prompts that he's seen, especially from Google, some of the prompts are super short like this, and some of the prompts are really, really long. I think it does depend a lot on the type of use case that you have. I'm sure that you've had a case where you're interacting with the AI to try to figure out a problem, and you realize as you're diving into it, oh, there's a lot to this. I think those are those situations where you need a really long prompt to consider all of those edge cases or additional context or whatever it may be. And sometimes, especially if you're not super concerned about the quality like I am here, you'll just kind of go with whatever. So it'll be a combination of different teams doing it, how strongly they feel that that resource needs to give you like the best quality answer versus is it just a demo app that's like, this shows you how it works, and then the complexity of the problem.
Right. Thank you. Let's give another round of applause for Kaslin. And she's also going to be here with the Shoya. If you guys have any in-depth questions, and we have this space until like 8 o'clock. So come say hi, and then even if you just want to say hi. And she's, as I said, she's nice. Okay, thank you. Okay, so before I let you guys go, so this is a bit of a time for the community. So we're gonna take some time, like if you guys wanted to ask help from the community members, or if you have like something, let's say it like ask could be like, hey, I'm looking for collaborators, or I'm looking for a job, or I'm looking for certain things. So if you have something, come up here. Let's take like say 15-30 seconds. Say who you are, what you're looking for, and what you're working on, and what you're looking for. Okay. Any volunteers? Going once? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Sophia Olivas. I'm the COO of Wisdom Forge. We work with employees to transition into entrepreneurship, and we're taking on beta testers. So come find me if you're interested in that.
Right. Anybody else? Come on up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mayank Grover. I'm a machine learning engineer. I have experience working in LLMs, RAG, AI agents, and some of the stuff that you just saw here. So if you need some help with building products, and I'm open to collaborating and working on projects here. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hemant Vermani. I worked with Amazon till yesterday. Yes, right. So end of October layoffs, I was gladly part of that. took a couple of months break to figure out what I want to do. And in Amazon and before that Adobe, over the last 2 decades, I've worked in cloud native and AI projects, Gen AI, supervised learning, computer vision. I've solved problems in the cellular space and in the cross-border space. During these years, created a bunch of AI teams, engineering teams, and again, I'll be happy to get referred, or if anyone is looking for any builder mindset with some experience, I'll be here. Thank you.
All righty. Come on up.
Hi everyone, my name is Xing. I'm the product manager from TiDB. It's a distributed SQL database. A few customers running on us from the AI vertical. DeepSeek is running on us. Manners just acquired by Meta. They're also running on us. We also have customers like Pinterest, Uber, Airbnb, Databricks, LinkedIn. So if you guys have any questions around the data infrastructure database, just come to me, and our company can help with you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Any other volunteers? Come on up.
Hello everyone, my name is Rudra, and my background is in software engineering and backend and cloud. I have covered almost all of the aspects of software engineering. So if you are looking for someone who can collaborate on a interesting project, I would be happy to help you out. Thank you.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Soumya Nanda, and I had been with Microsoft for over 15 years and been a technical program and product manager, primarily focusing on building large-scale data platforms, worked in the Azure Commerce division, enabling applications like Azure Cost Management for Azure customers. So my specialty has been focused on building large-scale data platforms, analytics, and enabling machine learning-based applications, based on data. And so I was impacted by the layoffs last summer, and so I've been exploring opportunities in this space and talking to more and more folks and connecting with people. So if there are any opportunities that you're aware of, then feel free to reach out. Thank you.
All righty. Anybody else?
Announcement about on adjacent state. It's not directly related to AI. If it's okay with everyone. Yeah. So my name is Vin Tat. I'm working for the Boeing company, and I'm not representing Boeing, by the way. And I'm not looking for work, but I am looking for connections with people that are interested in digital manufacturing. It's an area that for America that we like to help America out. So if anyone are in that area and know how to make the first leap, because I'm in a corporate culture, I don't know how to do it outside. So if someone know something and just hit me up on it. My name is Vin Tat.
Okay. No problem. Anybody else? Okay, so then I'm gonna be actually taking the last of that. So I'm actually making a product that handles the evaluation easier. So trying to detect the jagged edge of the AI, and it is a huge challenge, huge time consuming. So like a Jinba app, he was kind of giving the example is that you're creating this workflow, and if you know like enterprise finance department have like a different rule for, let's say, the US versus Mexico and so on. And only way to be able to guarantee or have a confidence that AI is through eval. So I'm building a solution that helps making the evaluation easier. So I'm